funnel in. There we go, recording in progress. So go ahead, get situated at whatever desk you might find yourself at these days. And in just a moment, we'll get rolling. All right, hello, everyone. A good day, and thank you for joining us for today's Client Enrichment Series presentation on Leasing's GLS Plus, Private Sector Experience and Public Sector Value. My name is Victor Mendez, and I'm a member of GSA's Client Enrichment Series team, serving out of the Eagleton Courthouse in St. Louis, Missouri. I will be serving as your host for today's installment of the Client Enrichment Series. Before we begin, I want to let everyone here know that we are recording today's session. We post our archived Client Enrichment Series videos on our YouTube channel. And, are we having sound issues? I see a sound question in the chat. Can everyone hear me?
All's good.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you very much. We post our archived Client Enrichment Series videos on our YouTube channel, and you can access more than 30 past sessions at any time, day or night. There is a link to our YouTube channel at the end of today's slide deck. We'd also like to make you aware of the available GSA resources to assist you and your organization navigating the current, often changing pandemic environment, and plan to safely return to physical workspaces when the time comes. On the screen and in the decks, are links to GSA's COVID-19 resource page and the Return to Facilities portal website. Both of these are linked directly from the homepage of gsa.gov. This presentation will also utilize live captioning, the link to which will be posted in the chat pod. Today's presentation will be led by Bridget Rhodes and Rebecca Coles. Both Bridget and Rebecca serve on the GSA PBS Office of Leasing in the Center for Broker Services. Bridget is a program manager, or PM, for PBS in GSA Central Office. As a PM, she is responsible for managing commercial real estate brokerage services for GSA's real estate portfolio nationwide. She's an enthusiastic advocate for the practice of project management. Bridget's strengths include policy development and implementation, business analysis, human capital management, and administration. In 2020, she earned the Administrator's Excellence in Performance Award, the Commissioner's Award for the Public Building Service, and the Acquisition Innovation Award for contributions under GLS Plus and the Least Cost Avoidance Plan. Bridget began her PBS career in 1997 and has held positions across multiple business lines and regions, including Realty Specialist, Property Manager, Customer Service Specialist, Special Assistant to the Regional Commissioner, and Project Executive responsible for complex lease acquisition projects. What a mouthful. But all those accomplishments. She holds an MBA from the Keller Graduate School of Management. Rebecca joined GSA in the year 2000 as a leasing specialist in the Mid-Atlantic region, aka Region 3, and has served as the Lease Contracting Officer, or LCO, the Project Manager, PM, and Broker Services Regional Program Manager, or RPM. Most notably as RPM, Rebecca was instrumental in executing an organizational restructure to create a consolidated broker services team under a single supervisor, which led to greater efficiency, accountability, and expertise within the regional broker service program. Rebecca joined the National Office of Leasing Center for Broker Services in May of 2021 as a program manager responsible for managing commercial real estate brokerage services for GSA's real estate portfolio nationwide. Rebecca holds a BA in Public Relations Journalism with minors in History and Business Administration. Today, we will be spending 90 minutes on GLS Plus, the GSA Leasing Support Services. Our host will be breaking down the key features of the GLS Plus contract and how to utilize it in the most efficient ways possible. In just a moment, I will be passing the torch to Bridget and Rebecca to review the full agenda. As with all of our presentations, we will have subject matter experts monitoring the chat for your questions. Now, before I turn the presentation over to our presenters, I'd like to share a few housekeeping instructions. Number one, we have automatically muted your audio to help us control the sound quality of the presentation. Please don't be alarmed. If you are using Zoom, welcome. We found the Zoom government platform to be very intuitive and user-friendly. You can customize your view with the different pods as you see fit. Number three, speaking of, you will see that there is both a chat pod as well as a Q&A area. For this session, please use the chat pod for any administrative questions you have or to report any issues you are experiencing, and one of our Client Enrichment Series team members can assist you. We'll also have team members with us today to answer any questions you might have during the presentation. We ask that you use the Q&A pod to ask any of your GLS Plus related questions, and there will be designated points during today's presentation where Q&A will be open in case you have any questions for Bridget or Rebecca to answer. Please do not use the raise hand function to ask a question during today's presentation. We want to keep all dialogue open in the Q&A pod. Any questions that we are unable to get to today will be noted, and all questions will be answered and posted on our website, www.gsa.gov/CES. Thank you, and now let's begin our presentation, passing it off to Bridget.
Thank you, Victor. Good afternoon to some, good morning to others. As Victor mentioned, my name is Bridget Rhodes, and I'm a National Contracting Officers Representative with the Center for Broker Services. I'm joined by my colleague, Rebecca Coles, who serves in the same capacity. We want to thank the Office of Portfolio Management and Customer Engagement for inviting us to participate in their Client Enrichment Series, and we appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to learn more about GLS Plus. We have a full agenda for you, but we promise to give you back any of your afternoon that we don't fill with exciting, invigorating content. For those of you who participated in the June PBS Customer Forum on Leasing Highlights, you're in for a treat. That session was just the tip of the iceberg, and now you get to participate in the GLS Plus Masterclass. In the next hour and a half, we will build on the theme GLS Plus, Private Sector Experience, Public Sector Value. For Private Sector Experience, I'll share some history on how we administer the program and discuss portfolios of work. At around the halfway mark, Rebecca will discuss Public Sector Value. She'll explain how all of this is funded and describe the enhanced services and virtual market surveys available under this contract tool. Let's get into a little bit of the history of these contracts. Prior to 1994, GSA leasing divisions were stocked full of fully warranted leasing contracting officers who never had enough work to do and always delivered projects on time and under budget. Only I'd been around to experience it. No, seriously, leasing organizations have historically struggled a little to maintain a qualified workforce. We recognized that we needed help to manage a growing portfolio of expiring leases and a dwindling workforce. In 1994, we developed regional broker contracts. Each region identified their specific needs and developed contracts that supplemented their staff. These contracts were fee-for-service, and while we had some short-term experience, the variation created inconsistencies in the way the leasing program was executed nationwide. In response to audit findings related to those inconsistencies, in 2002, we decided to centralize broker services into a national program with a focus on consistency in service delivery and administration. We wanted to reduce space costs and provide a greater degree of customer service. By 2005, we awarded National Broker Contracts, or NBC. It allowed national oversight and added a desperately needed administrative focus. NBC is an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract that awarded task orders to brokerage firms using equitable distribution. While this contract provided leasing with much needed resources, the offerings were rigid and did not give regions the flexibility they needed to effectively manage their portfolios. In 2010, we ushered in National Broker Contract 2. Using lessons learned from our prior interactions, we added post-award services to our offerings and included performance incentives to set the standard for better project outcomes. We also began to compete task orders among our brokers to identify the best teams at the best value for our customers. With each contract, we applied the good and worked to mitigate things that weren't working as well. By early 2016, we were issuing the notice to proceed on our next big contract breakthrough, the GSA Leasing Support Services contract known as GLS. GLS was the result of a decade of experience and lessons learned. We created more opportunities for brokers to compete and were able to award prime contracts to small businesses. Brokers were incentivized with a 10% bonus compensation for meeting established targets, and the administration was centralized. Like its predecessors, GLS continued to leverage private sector experience and focused on linking program goals to cost savings and implementing a means of evaluating and reporting results of the contract. With GLS, its zonal structure enhanced the business relationships between cores and brokers, and its menu of services finally gave our regions the ability to pick and choose the services they needed to meet your needs. The contract seemed perfect. We thought everyone was satisfied. But within the first year of GLS, we were asked to do what? Make it better, which brings us to GLS Plus. If you take a look at our zonal configuration, GLS Plus was awarded on May 13th, 2020. It includes a total of 9 contracts, 3 of which were awarded to our small business partners. Looking at the various shades of blue starting in the upper left corner, we have our Western Zone serviced by Cushman & Wakefield and Carpenter Robbins. Our Northern Zone in the upper right is serviced by CBRE and JLL. Just beneath the Northern Zone is our National Capital Region, serviced by Savills Inc., Public Properties, and CBRE. And finally, our Southern Zone in the lower right is serviced by Savills Inc. and Public Properties. GLS Plus took a little over 3 years to develop. So how did we get there? In the fall of 2017, we again engaged our regions. Despite our accelerated schedule, we were able to meet with every region to hold roundtables with leasing leadership and our end users across the country to find out candidly what they wanted to see in this new contract. Boy, did we get an earful. We also sought feedback from you. In May of 2018, we met with over 200 of you during a client enrichment series just like this one. We shared feedback on our then current offerings and gathered feedback on what types of services might add value for your organization. Some of our feedback also came from challenges or successes you passionately shared with our regional program officials. And finally, we engaged the industry, including our broker partners. We hosted roundtable discussions with individual firms, and our industry engagement concluded with an industry conference in May of 2018. We conducted a pre-proposal conference in July of 2019 and made the award in May 2020, 8 months ahead of schedule. And now, here we are. Out of all of that feedback, themes related to improved customer service, innovation, and maximum savings emerged. This was what both our private sector partners could offer us and what our internal customers wanted. When we explored the themes improved customer experience, we looked at help with workplace options and came up with enhanced requirements development and enhanced post-award. When we focused on innovation, we sought market expertise and leveraged modern technology to conduct market surveys. And when we focused on maximizing savings, we knew that our brokers' commercial experience yielded strength with negotiation techniques. The team combined these factors into the scope of work to deliver value and greater opportunities to both our internal customers and you. To pull together the resources and administration required to achieve success, we needed strong, consistent program officials. On this slide, we'll talk about the internal GSA team that holds the program together. In blue, we've identified the national program officials that include a national program manager, 2 national contracting officers, 2 national contracting officers representatives, 5 zonal contracting officers, and 2 program analysts. The program analysts are our strongest link. They create and manage a centralized data repository using system data for all stakeholders. Their data informs our decisions and helps us make improvements to the program. One unique thing about this team composition is that in order to secure the appropriate support for this contract, we needed the expertise of acquisition professionals in both the 1170 and 1102 communities. In gold, you'll see the regional program execution piece. Each region is represented by a team, a regional program manager that guides the region's work and acts as a liaison to the national team, and close to 150 cores spread across the country. Those contracting officers' representatives work daily with brokers and make project-to-project decisions using that menu of service that we discussed earlier. They are the front stage experts that turn your real estate concepts using the contract to deliver great results. Now we'll drill down a little deeper and take a look at the project team structure. Beginning with our client managers, the client planning manager is your initial touch point. They assist you in identifying the essential project requirements. These are the items needed to get a project going. They also give required updates and information to the cores and brokers. Next, depending on the requirements, you may be assigned a project manager. They engage with the brokers for better insight and clarification on your requirements. PMs work with the cores and brokers throughout the project and truly shine in the post-award phase. And finally, though we mention them under program administration, our cores are worth mentioning again. They pull everything together and will likely be one of the most familiar faces on your project. They're the only program role delegated to provide direction to the broker. Lastly, the very reason we exist, literally, is you. Your mission and the infrastructure you need to achieve it drives our mission. We rely on you for the vision, the funding, the timely reviews and approvals that keeps projects on schedule and on budget. Next, we'll take a look at how brokers contribute to enhancing your experience, maximizing savings, and infusing innovation into every deal. Listed here are a few broker roles that you may encounter on your projects. Transaction managers partner with the cores to perform lease acquisition duties. Acting as the leasing specialist, they do it all except sign letters of correspondence to offerors and lessors, sign official lease documents, process and sign OAs. Of course, there's some other inherently governmental documents and processes that they aren't able to participate in. The cores and the transaction managers promote firm project communication. For local knowledge, the transaction manager may use a market survey specialist as needed. Even if multiple personnel are performing the services, the primary transaction manager must be identified for each project task as they are the broker authority for that project. The market survey specialist is usually embedded in or near your delineated area. They maintain strong ties to the commercial leasing community and stay up to date on what's happening around town. Even with their involvement, the transaction manager is still fully responsible for the procurement. The post-award manager assigned to your project reviews drawings, differentiates between shell and TI, communicates concerns and issues, and takes care of the punch list. They must have at least 3 years of tenant improvement experience and have a firm understanding of the construction industry. Under GLS Plus, we included more services under post-award and needed to make sure we had the expertise to back it up. This required the inclusion of a senior post-award manager. The senior post-award manager provides a higher degree of consultative oversight and project support to maintain the project to a successful completion in accordance with the lease requirements. They also play an active role in minimizing costs during design and construction to maximize the use of public funds. When developing GLS Plus, we also wanted to strengthen the expertise of our brokers. Our next slide will highlight a few of the changes we required.
Hey, Bridget.
May not be yes.
For this next slide, can you share, or which slide number are you on? We have some attendees who are on their phones and they're trying to follow along.
We are on slide number 11.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, this next slide, broker qualifications, may be a little hard to read. This chart that's incorporated into our contract itself requires our broker firms staff their contract with their best. We upgraded experience and educational requirements for most broker roles and included things like current broker's licenses for the market specialist negotiating our deals, specialized training in a specialized field, project management degrees or certifications for senior post-award managers. These seemingly minor changes set the stage for a higher level of proficiency, assisting us towards greater efficiency, a stronger team to meet your needs, and greater cost savings. On to slide 12, we're looking at the value added. With all of these changes baked into the broker workforce, those 150 cores can now focus on more projects. In this way, our broker partners act as a force multiplier to our project team. Not only are we looking to leverage their skills and knowledge of local marketplaces, but also by assigning responsibilities to our partners, we're freeing up cores, client planning managers, and project managers to focus on other aspects of the procurement as well as other projects. In doing so, we dramatically increase our ability to deliver a multitude of projects timely and efficiently for you. But that isn't the only benefit. Yes, there's more. As we head into our next topics, we're going to look at public sector values. On slide 14 now. I mentioned at the beginning that we would discuss how GLS Plus is funded and how you benefit under public sector value. As we make it towards the midpoint of our topics, Rebecca is going to give us an abridged view of the activities that translate into better value for you.
Thank you very much, Bridget, and good morning, good afternoon to all of you. We're going to kick this section off talking about funding for the GLS contract, and specifically commissions. Whenever we discuss our contracts, what often comes to the forefront of everyone's mind is who pays for this? And GSA's national broker contracts are unique in that they are considered no-cost contracts. That's because no money is exchanged among government entities for this service, which makes this highly unusual. Rather, GSA reaps the benefit of this workforce multiplier as our client agencies reap the benefit through rent bill reductions at lease commencement. And as you know, typically with normal service contracts, the funding either comes from GSA or the tenant agency in the form of reimbursable work authorizations or RWAs. And sometimes funding and availability can really be a challenge for our agencies. So that's what makes GLS Plus unique in the space acquisition arena. And we want to talk about that for a few moments. So while you'll never participate at a level of detail for the commission calculations like we're going to discuss today, we'd like to provide a breakdown for how we pay for our broker services and pass those cost avoidances on to you, our client. We're going to mention things like commission agreements, commission splits, and cover a few definitions. These are just for explanation, but we want to be clear that we, meaning you, me, the project team members, are not allowed to influence commission discussions. The agreements are solely between your future lessor and the broker working your project. So let's get on to a few definitions. First, we'll start with the aggregate lease value, which is the fully serviced rent to be paid by the client for the initial firm term of the lease. The firm term and the application of the broker commission are defined in the request for lease proposals, or the RLP, if you're familiar with some leasing terms. That's the solicitation that goes on the street, soliciting space for an agency. And in general, the aggregate lease value is inclusive of the shell rent, including base real estate taxes, the base operating costs, parking, amortization of tenant improvements, building specific amortized capital, which is your security improvements, and any fixed rent bumps. But it does not include rent abatements like concessions, free rent, allowances that are offered, or any escalations that are yet unknown, like operating cost escalations and real estate tax escalations that fluctuate. So this is a mouthful, but in general, at a very high level, the aggregate lease value is essentially your leased space rent bill. And it's reflected in your occupancy agreement, as Bridget mentioned. So moving forward, the commission is the percentage of the aggregate lease value that the lessor agrees to pay in accordance with a commission agreement. Commissions are relatable to markets, and whatever is common practice in the market is what you'll see in commissions. It might be a rate per square foot identified as a percentage. It might be a fixed amount, a lump sum dollar amount. Commission agreements are the written agreement between the successful offeror, or the lessor, and the broker, which outline the agreed upon commission and terms. The broker's commission is the portion of that commission that's owed to the broker. It's essentially the broker's payment for performing services. And the commission credit, that's the portion of the commission that's credited to the government. That's you, our client agencies, reflected in a deduction to the shell rent. This is reflected on your occupancy agreement prior to lease award and reconciled prior to lease commencement. As you know, your occupancy agreement is updated as time goes on. GSA provides you as our client with more accurate funding information and financial information as that becomes known through the process of a procurement. And keep in mind that this commission credit is a complete and total pass-through to you as our clients. GSA does not retain any of the commission credit. So let's continue on with a further explanation of how this works. At a very high level, prior to GLS Plus base contract award, so this is going way back, GSA's brokers proposed commission sharing amounts. These are called commission splits. In other words, they identified the percent of commission earned that they would forego and share with the government in the form of a shell rent credit, or the commission credit to the agency. These percentages of commissions earned will be returned to the government, or you, the client, for the opportunity to represent the government on space deals. For all projects involving brokers, the brokers and private sector offerors settle on a commission percentage at the commencement of an acquisition through the commission agreement. Then the successful offeror funds the agreed upon percentage of the broker's commission as payment for services. And GSA's broker, in turn, returns a portion back to the government as a commission credit. Now, as far as timing of the payment, typically brokers receive 50% of their pay at lease award and the remainder of payment at occupancy. There are some nuances here, but that's the general pattern. And if you think about that, if you think about a project being 2 to 3 to 4 years long, it's nice to give a partial payment about halfway through and then hold a little payment till we get completed. So that's kind of the pattern that we've used. Those commission credits are applied to the customer's shell rent bill over the shortest period of time in equal segments over a number of months. And that's all reflected in the client occupancy agreement. So just a couple of notes here. The government will make every effort to issue task orders in markets where commissions are available. So if you as a tenant agency are working on a project, for example, at a university, or for our friends at TSA that do a lot of on-airport leasing, or another jurisdiction where commissions are generally not paid, like municipalities, not federal, but local and state government locations, we probably will not task your project to a broker. The commission's only based on the firm term. So if you've got a 15-year lease and it's 10 years firm, the commission's based on 10 years. And I want to just take a moment here. Why did we choose to highlight the funding aspect of this contract as one of the key values it offers to you as our clients? We'll discuss some more of the key aspects later on, but right now we want to show you some quantifiable financial results that directly benefit you, our client agencies. The broker program engages key tactics to deliver and drive quantifiable results. Bridget went through the history of the past 16 years of this program, and we have been focused on tactics that achieve savings and value for our stakeholders. And I just want to cover a few stats here. Since its inception 16 years ago, we've tasked 6,133 projects to the brokers. And the taxpayer savings associated with rent credits, which are passed directly to clients, total $400 million to date over the past 16 years, with another $246 million projected on the remaining task orders that are already tasked and finishing out there. Under GLS Plus, we project tasking 1,800 more task orders under this current contract, with an estimated $200 million in estimated rent credits for you, our client agencies. Again, these are direct pass-throughs to you, our client agencies. So this program has been delivering $490 million in the last 16 years to you, our client agencies. And then you may be familiar with some of GSA's goals. One of them in the former administration was the least cost avoidance plan, which was estimated to save $407 billion over a 5-year period commencing in 2018. Negotiations and right-sizing client workspaces has resulted in GSA achieving that goal of least cost avoidance a year early. GSA already surpassed the $4.7 billion in least cost avoidance this year, and GSA broker projects contributed to $3.119 billion of that $407 billion in least cost avoidance. So our brokers, their expertise in the markets, they are front and center in negotiating deals and in assisting clients with their workspace solutions, have delivered this kind of savings and benefit to GSA, the taxpayers, and our client agencies. Okay, let's go ahead to the next slide here. And we want to take a moment to open it up for Q&A. We probably have a few in the queue here. We've heard about some of the program history, the structure of our program, and now the funding. So I wanted to open this up for Q&A.
All right, Rebecca, we do have a few questions already in the pod. I'll start with this one coming from Caitlin. Our agency has a large number of small leases, mostly 2,000 to 4,000 square feet. These do not yield very large commissions for the brokers. Are we still able to use the GLS Plus contract?
We appreciate the question on that. And our contract is designed that commissions should yield $5,000 or more to a broker on a single action. We have to be careful about the cost to travel, the cost of time in, to at least cover a minimal aspect of expenses for our broker firms. However, we recognize that there are a lot of agencies out there that have multiple small projects, just like are mentioned in this question. And we have a way to achieve them under this broker program, which Bridget is going to talk about near the end of our presentation. Portfolios of work can be placed together, meaning grouping a number of projects, small and large, even projects that don't yield $500,000, that don't yield $5,000 in estimated commission, can be grouped together with larger projects or with multiple projects so that the broker can do that body of work for your agency. So the answer to that is yes, there is a way to send small projects to brokers so long as we work together on that coordination.
Excellent, thank you. Our next question comes from Jeanette, and is this program available in rural and remote areas, or is it geared toward more urbanized areas?
It's available wherever the federal government has leased space. So we recognize that lease projects need to be done in Welsh, West Virginia, as much as they need to be done in New York, New York. So the brokers go to all different places and cover wherever the federal government has lease projects that can be done. Now, assuming there is a commission to be earned and it's not so small and not grouped with another project that can't be placed together.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Heather. So the 7% administration fee that is tacked onto our OAs, and there is no front office security guards, no outside ballot, etc. What does this fee cover?
This is something that I would defer to our friends in portfolio to address. Specifically, that's not necessarily what we're here experts on in today's presentation. And so I should defer that question to more portfolio driven pricing policy type question for Q&A.
Excellent. Thank you, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
From Sarah, is CCIM certification a requirement for broker contractors?
I don't know. I might defer to Bridget on that with the qualifications.
I can respond to that.
Thanks.
CCIM is not a required broker certification. Our brokers need to be certified in pretty much the same things our realty specialists are required to be certified in. And that is not something that we have a requirement for at this time. It is definitely a plus. It's one of those specialized trainings and certifications that if a broker possessed it, it would be an addition or a plus to their proposal when they applied for the contract.
All right. Thank you very much, Bridget. Our next question comes from Eric. Can agencies who receive general or special purpose delegation through GREX access this no-cost broker contract?
I'll jump.
We don't do,
Go ahead, Bridget.
we aren't able to share the contract with delegated agencies. However, if you came to us and wanted us to work that project directly, we'd be happy to facilitate.
All right, thank you very much. Our next question comes from John. Are we able to utilize this contract for delegated leases, or is it reserved to a GSA procured lease?
As I just mentioned, it is relegated to GSA managed procurement.
Excellent. Love related questions. And our final question for now is, oh, never mind, we have another one. Our next question then is, how are taxpayer savings estimated? How do rent credits passed directly to client agencies save the taxpayers money?
Okay, so at a very high level, taxpayer savings are estimated through the lease cost avoidance program by awarding lease contracts below market. And secondly, there's a second aspect to that, which is rentable square foot reductions. So smaller spaces awarded under market. And then the rent credits passed directly to client agencies are considered cost avoidance to the government. That is direct lease rent that client agencies do not have to pay because of the way this contract is structured. So it is considered under the lease cost avoidance plan within GSA. Those all fall in as ways that cost savings can be accumulated. Again, that's awarding leases below market rents, reductions in square footage, and also the commission credit to the agencies, which is pure shell rent that does not have to be paid by an agency.
Excellent, thank you very much. The last question, the next question is just a clarifier. So it has to be a GSA administered lease, not a delegated agency to use GLS Plus.
Correct. A delegated agency is not able to use the contract.
Thank you very much. Eric asks, can this broker contract be used to negotiate specialized lease space? For example, BSL2 biomedical research space, vivariums, etc.
Yes, this lease is perfect for those specialized spaces because our brokers carry the expertise that we may not carry within the government.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And at this time, does anybody need a brief break, or are we good to keep going with the presentation? Please answer in the chat yes if you would like a short break, or no if you'd like to keep going with the presentation. Thank you. All right, I'm seeing mostly people saying to keep going. If anyone needs to take a break, by all means do that on your own time, but we'll press on with the presentation. Pass it back to you two.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the next slide, and we're gonna share a short video here of highlights of the remaining topics that we'll be covering during today's session.
The GSA National Broker Program spans over 15 years and provides the federal government with leasing support services to manage our expiring lease portfolio. By partnering with firms across the country to meet our client agency real estate needs, we've saved taxpayers over $400 million in rent credits. In May of 2020, the newest broker contract, GLS Plus, was awarded to 6 firms. Key features of GLS Plus, which will transform leasing, include enhanced services in the requirements development and post-award phases of a lease procurement, Market Survey 360, the use of camera technology to provide images for a virtual tour experience, portfolios of work, leveraging work in similar geographies or for the same client agencies, annual market presentations by our broker partners, and more objective evaluations of broker performance. GLS Plus, continuing partnerships with premier broker firms to provide our client agencies with savings, expertise, and an exceptional customer experience.
Okay, that highlighted the remaining topics that we're going to cover today. And we can go ahead to the next slide here. We want to kick this off, the enhanced services portion off next, talking about requirements development and post-award services that have been part of the contract for many years. But GLS Plus introduced this idea of enhanced services. And this has been part of the feedback that we heard from you as our clients and from our regions to provide these extra levels of support on certain projects. The menu of services is not new, as Bridget mentioned. It was in the GLS contract in 2015, but the flexible tool is groundbreaking in that it allows flexibility and specificity. For example, regions can determine what portions of a project brokers work on. They always have to work on lease acquisition, but they may be involved in requirements development and not post-award, or they might be involved in lease acquisition and post-award if, for example, an agency delivers a beautiful requirements package, there's not a lot to do, and a project is ready to go forward. For the enhanced services, you'll notice that the gold plus signs sit next to certain modules, and this signifies where enhanced services are available. We'll talk about these features in much more detail, but first we wanted to spend a moment covering a key client interaction, since we have the chance to talk with you as clients today. So the first thing we want to mention is, when do we onboard the brokers? And we'll go to the next slide here. Okay, so for prospectus projects, we want brokers to join the space acquisition 42 to 36 months prior to lease expiration. And for non-prospectus projects, 30 to 24 months prior to lease expiration. In these timeframes, we tried to strike the balance between not joining too early and joining early enough for the brokers to be involved in the decision-making process, so that brokers are able to influence and add private sector expertise as the team sets the stage for the procurement. The other thing we wanted to come to you with is a client-facing meeting. We'll hit another client-facing meeting later on in the presentation, but the project commencement meeting is foundational for project success. It takes place very early on, scheduled about 5 days after a broker's onboarded, and it's entirely internal, and it lays the foundation for how GSA will handle requirements development and identify roles and responsibilities. As our client, you're probably used to working with a diverse team, client planning managers, project managers, lease contracting officers, and now a broker. So this meeting established roles and responsibilities for each team member, including you, our client agency contact. After highlighting that client project commencement meeting, we want to slip back to enhanced requirements development. Before we move forward, most of you have already participated in our Leasing 101 Client Enrichment series. With that as a foundation, we're not going to spend time today talking about the basics of requirements development or post-award services. Rather, we'll spend our time highlighting the enhancements provided through the GLS contract, GLS Plus contract. Enhanced services may be requested for leases estimated to be greater than or equal to $750,000 in fully serviced annual rent at task order issuance. On these projects, brokers are intended to provide a high degree of consultative engagement, and they're expected to travel commensurate with the level of effort needed to accomplish this task. Through GLS Plus, the government taps into similar services commonly provided by commercial real estate firms as workplace consultative services. For requirements development in the enhanced version, that comes in the form of developing a macro program of requirements, or POR. For post-award services, that comes in the form of a senior post-award manager, as Bridget had mentioned, with higher experience levels, along with more on-site inspections, but more on that later. So for requirements development, this is a snapshot that compares the full scope of the requirement development responsibilities and the enhanced requirements development responsibilities. As you can see, the broker will perform all the requirements development assignments plus the development of a macro program of requirements for client agencies that do not have a comprehensive requirements package, do not have a design guide, or are looking to completely alter their workspace configuration. For agencies facing this challenge, keep in mind that the broker contract offers this tool at no cost to the government. GSA or the client may not have readily available reimbursable funding to take the kind of deep dive for space needs that's necessary to move a project forward. Enhanced services are funded the same way as other services, with the broker firm keeping a larger percentage of its earnings and the clients receiving a smaller commission credit. This alternative is especially timely now as we consider the post-pandemic world and grapple with an appropriately sized and designed office space of the future. Agencies are making deeply profound decisions, and this is just the time where the GLS Plus contract can come alongside and offer private sector expertise for public sector value. So what is a macro program of requirements? A macro program of requirements is a comprehensive document that identifies the client agency's total space requirement determined by the amount of space needed for each employee, including projections for growth, and each work unit. The macro POR is conducted one time during requirements development, and the broker will develop a housing plan consisting of a room matrix, adjacency requirements, and they'll also prepare a budget identifying shell, TI, telecommunications costs, security, audio visual, furniture, move costs, and finally, the broker will develop a project milestone schedule. The macro POR also includes an executive summary, which entails a space situation assessment. And you can see listed here on this slide all of the things that are included in that. And we'll go to the next slide here. And we'll talk about the gap analysis. The macro POR also contains recommendations for a future workplace and a gap analysis, which documents the difference between where the agency is now versus the future optimum efficient organization and how to get there. The broker will perform walkthrough surveys of existing space and feedback opportunities for improved space utilization, and then develop options and scenarios for agency consideration to move that agency from the existing to the overall ideal state. And just a few more notes. As you can see, this effort's not designed to be long and drawn out. Keep in mind, brokers are onboarded to develop actionable requirements and turn them into viable space acquisition solutions for you, our client agency. We're excited to share with you this has been highly successful in its delivery so far. Because of an ongoing procurement, I'm not able to share specific details, but we'll share a few highlights of where we've seen this in action. A law enforcement agency needed to move out of a federal building. They were in pockets of space. It had some inefficiencies and some security concerns, and they took advantage of this service recently. The broker was onboarded in October, and the POR was accepted and approved in January, less than 4 months total. The GSA region, client, and broker team met on site 2 times to tour space, discuss future requirements, and address questions. The document entailed the things I mentioned. It had an executive summary, adjacency diagrams, square footage information by room, and the team confirmed that the product incorporated in the request for lease proposals informed the market well and enabled the team to move through the procurement quickly. It also will benefit the team as they commence design. The region and broker commented that the client agency support and engagement was key. Decision makers were at the table during those 2 on-site meetings, and significant progress was made each time. So we're excited to see this support other client agencies. And just as a side note, since we have the opportunity to speak with you as clients, I want to just spend a moment talking about delays in obtaining agency requirements. They can be costly to you as clients, as well as our broker partners. GSA has established regional and national escalation protocols to assist with obtaining requirements. And just for your awareness, brokers are involved and participate in those escalations. And on another front, there are circumstances in which projects do need to be canceled. To cancel task orders, we may ask for written documentation from our client agencies as justification for the file. So in summary, GLS Plus enhanced requirements development leverages private sector expertise without funding constraints and results in timely quality space acquisitions reflecting carefully developed space requirements. And with that, I think we'll move into another section of Q&A. Or we'll just go on right on to enhanced services for post-award. So turning our attention from the beginning of the project, let's shift gears toward the halfway point to the end of the project and discuss post-award services, the events immediately following lease award through occupancy. Like requirements development, post-award services have been part of the national broker contracts for years. However, GLS Plus enhanced post-award services are designed to leverage private sector expertise in areas of design and construction assistance, as well as provide greater government on-site presence during construction. Again, we're not going to spend time today discussing the basics of post-award, but we'll highlight the enhancements of those activities in the GLS Plus contract. Let's look again at the menu of services. Again, the gold plus signs that you notice next to certain modules signify where post-award services may be used. Like enhanced requirements development, enhanced post-award services are for projects with an estimated annual rent greater than $750,000. And as we head into post-award, we want to take a quick sidebar, as we did in requirements development, and talk about the post-award orientation meeting. This is another key opportunities for you as a client agency to meet with the landlord for the first time. It also brings the team together after lease award. It's a big push to lease award, and then everybody wants to just breathe a big sigh of relief, and often project teams lose a lot of momentum. But the key to this is that it's scheduled very quickly after lease award, and the goal of the lease award orientation meeting is to gather all parties to avoid that lag and to establish roles and responsibilities, set expectations, and set the stage for how things are going to work from design through occupancy. It's a simple form to get post-award started off on the right foot. And things might be discussed such as the schedule, security clearances, agency moves, IT furniture, special needs, or project challenges. So again, this required meeting is strategically placed and required by the GLS Plus contract. And if well used, it's intended and results as a powerful tool to maintain project momentum. And after that sidebar, we'll head back to enhanced services. So we've included 6 additional elements above and beyond what is provided under the standard module services. And they are a senior post-award manager, a more robust DID pre-coordination, detailed TI pricing review, an increased number of progress inspections, and increased quality assurance and quality control. As Bridget mentioned, one of the most significant enhancements is the assignment of a senior post-award manager with 10 or more years experience in tenant improvement work. Bridget identified a lot of the key aspects of the senior post-award manager, so we won't cover them in detail now, and we'll move forward to the next slide. So some key highlights from enhanced post-award services come with the progress inspections, reports, and photos. There is a significant increase in the number of site inspections under enhanced services, and also progress inspection reports. Sometimes typically people go to the site and they look things over, and there's no formal documentation coming out of this. This formalizes the documentation. If needed, the broker may recommend rejection of materials or workmanship that does not comply with lease requirements. And the broker will and is required to use photo or electronic time-lapse video to chronicle construction progress. So in summary, GLS Plus post-award services focus on partnership with our tenant agencies. Broker expertise complements the GSA team as a workforce multiplier, which results in an improved client experience. And with that, we'll go to the next slide, and we'll open it up for Q&A.
Excellent. We have a few questions here. The first comes from Tracy. How does GSA leasing determine what's market value? GSA cost estimators use NCMT, which is based on RS means, cost database that updates quarterly with local and national unit prices for construction. So how does GSA leasing determine market value?
I'll start that, and Bridget, if you want to jump in, feel free to, but GSA does engage in, we use a couple of different things. We develop negotiation objectives at the start of every project, and we do that through market research and analysis, and our brokers assist us with that, and GSA lease contracting officers use market data, market analysis, commercially available tools to check market rates. And we also use the Bullseye program, which is sponsored out of GSA's national office, which consolidates 3 very reputable commercial real estate companies with their market research and data to develop negotiation objectives. When you bring pieces of information together, you have a much clearer picture of what the market is, and then market negotiation objectives are established at that point.
Thank you. Bridget, did you have anything to add to that?
I was just going to say, I think Rebecca covered that very well. We definitely rely on the market to dictate what that true market value is. And the brokers, we are able to leverage their tools in addition to that to compare what is available in the market. And we're able to develop our targets. So thanks.
Excellent. Thank you both. The next question we have comes from Susan. How does this enhanced requirements differ from a formal program of requirements, or POR?
So this is a macro POR that is offered through the GLS Plus contract. There might be some hair splitting out there in terms of what is offered. And we want to encourage you to take a look at the specifics in the GLS Plus contract to really hone in on what is offered through our contract. There are enormously in-depth program of requirements out there. So depending on the building, depending on the size, depending on what you're grappling with, they could be, 20 pages, 30 pages, or they could be 250 pages. This is a less in-depth program of requirements. That's why we use the term macro. And we do stand by the information that is required to be provided, the gap analysis, the executive summary, the adjacency information, et cetera. So if that suffices for your agency, we want to encourage you to use that. Some of the issues with formal program of requirements, which I assume this question is you're talking about a very long time commitment, and you're also talking about a funding commitment. So what we offer is a macro POR version identified in the contract, may be a little bit lighter, if you will, than what my guess is meant by a formal POR in the question.
Excellent. The next question comes from Michelle. Does the contract cover U.S. territories like Guam and American Samoa?
Yes, it does.
Good to know. Next question from Tracy again. Are there legal reasons why client agencies are not involved in lesser agreements? What are the benefits to that arrangement?
I can't speak to the exact legal agreement, but basically it's because the agreement is between the lessor and the broker. We don't want clients or GSA personnel involved in the discussions because we don't want their compensation influenced by any thoughts or feelings that we have regarding either the broker's performance or the value we think they add. There is value for broker services in the commercial market, so we like those that are engaged in that market to make that determination.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next question is from Sarah. Is the Bullseye program something we can subscribe to?
The Bullseye program is internal to GSA. It is one of the aspects that we use within our leasing community to assist our lease contracting officers. I don't believe that if this is coming from an outside source, I don't believe we share that with other agencies, but I want to defer to Bridget on that just for confirmation.
Right, I don't think we share that externally, but if you have a specific request, there may be some information that we can provide you later that may assist you in developing your own.
All right, thank you both. That's all the questions we have for now. I believe we can keep going to help finish out this presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Victor. We're gonna plow ahead to virtual market tours, and we're gonna move pretty quickly through this, taking a look at our time. We're pleased to offer to our clients one of the key features of the GLS Plus contract, and this is the virtual market tour. The innovative approach is to conducting a leasing staple, which is the market survey. So for all of you, our clients, you've probably been on a market survey, and this innovative approach has gained ground recently. And we successfully incorporated it into the GLS Plus contract. And when we did, little did we know how important this feature would become with the introduction of a pandemic to our world. So let's go ahead and get started. And to kick us off, we're gonna start by showing you, and Bridget, you can go ahead and start this, showing you a top shelf, highly sophisticated video clip that demonstrates this technology. So if you're taking a look at your screen, this is a 360-degree view of the lobby and reception area put together by a private sector company. And it demonstrates the technology we're talking about as we go around the bend here. I think most of us probably feel like we're standing in the middle of the lobby and we're getting a good feel of how the lobby reception area is laid out and what it looks like. So here we're essentially standing in the same place, and we're turning in a very slow circle. And we'll come full circle again to our starting point in the lobby. So it's as if we're spinning around in a single point. And as we come around here to the completion, I bet most of us feel like we have a pretty good impression of what this lobby and reception space looks like in this office building. And that is exactly what we're striving for through these virtual market tours. So we'll give it a couple more seconds here and we'll be back to where we started. And there we are. Thank you, Bridget. Okay, so now that we've whetted your appetite, we're going to go on and we're going to share with you some of our Market Survey 360 in action here. If you've been involved with GSA leasing for any period of time, you're familiar with the market survey phase of the procurement, which allows client agencies the opportunity to view potential buildings and see what's available in the market. You're probably also aware that this effort requires a few to more than a dozen people scheduling the same time to be away from the office, traveling a day or several days. Tours are short, and it's hard to recapture what isn't garnered during the tour. So when we were exploring options for innovating the market survey process, we wanted something that would create taxpayer savings, improve customer experience, and innovate the way the government conducts business. So we pursued 360-degree camera technology to accomplish our goals. So if we go to the next slide here, 360-degree cameras are able to capture high levels of detail, resolution, and a 360-degree field of view in one spherical point of view, as you noticed in that demonstration. Typically, this technology is rising in prevalence in video games and other interactive entertainment, but it's being used more widely today. And they're on the market today with many brands and options to choose from. So we designed the contract offering that uses digital still images to demonstrate a 360-degree view of space so clients feel like they are in a virtual reality, taking a virtual tour of a space on the screen. And it offers clients the detailed view of properties and the ability to go back and look at something again and reduces the number of people required to attend a market survey in person, thereby saving time and money. So here's another 360-degree still shot. Again, brokers have the opportunity to go above and beyond regular camera imaging. They could use different software, editing, and presentation options. In our next slide, we're going to take a quick look at a real segment captured with Matterport technology from one of our broker firms during a market survey earlier this year in Virginia. So they're in the space, and then all of a sudden you see the dimension between those two columns at 23 feet, 10 inches. And this is on a repeat. So here is the square footage measurement of the column spacing and the ceiling height to the right at 8 feet, 8 inches. So this allows us to go back and take dimensions, calculate square footages of rooms, check things like column spacing and ceiling height after we've been at the space. If we miss something, this gives us a chance to go back. And then on to the next slide. So in terms of the types of projects that are most suitable for this, remote locations and smaller locations, few properties to survey, those are all good options. The smaller transaction may not warrant a lot of people traveling. And we also recognize that this style of market survey may not be the best fit for every agency. And if your agency is not a good mix for this, then it does not have to be used. But agencies are dabbling in it and getting used to it. And as we continue to gain best practices and lessons learned at GSA, our brokers and client agencies are kind of taking to this innovative process. So this includes our segment on Market Survey 360. And I believe we're headed into portfolios of work, or we can do a Q&A session if we have questions at this point.
At this point, I would advise we push forward to or is there still more to the presentation after this Q&A, or is this the last section for it?
There is one more section.
I would advise we push through the last section, and then we can do a Q&A to end things off today.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll be introducing portfolios of work. And these could potentially create efficiency within your organization. Rebecca spoke about them a little earlier in the presentation, so we'll dive right in. Under GLS Plus, we've enhanced the contract capabilities by encouraging larger groupings of projects that may cross regions and be tasked with little information. This means that if you're a realty specialist or a portfolio manager in your organization and your workload is multiplying, but you aren't, your GSA realty specialist may be able to help combine your projects into one large portfolio of work or small grouping, regardless of the state of your requirements, regardless of size, expiration date, or location, considering a few parameters. So how does this benefit you? In many respects, it can increase your capacity. You will have one dedicated team working with you on finalizing, phasing, and executing multiple projects at once. Over the next few slides, you'll learn what a portfolio of work is, how we envision the implementation of portfolios of work, and how we will measure success. But before we dive into that, we'll show you the diversity of projects that could be included in a portfolio. A portfolio of work, and we're on slide 54 now. A portfolio of work is essentially a group of expiring leases or new leases that may be good candidates for renegotiation, consolidation, reduction, expansion, or even strategic termination. It could include leases that represent a specific customer agency or multiple agencies. So you may be asked if you're comfortable with grouping one of your projects with another agency's projects. Leases in one region or multiple regions, leases held by a single lessor, leases in flat markets or other tenant favorable conditions, or leases in their soft terms. This is also where you might see those smaller projects that we discussed earlier. They may be rolled up or combined with larger projects so that they are still actively worked, even though they may not provide the largest commission for a broker. On the screen is an example of a possible portfolio for USDA. This portfolio of work consists of 5 projects located within the Central Business District of Washington, D.C., Landover, Maryland, Arlington, Virginia, and the city of Beltsville, Maryland, where GSA currently houses the U.S. Department of Agriculture in existing leases. As a customer, you could recommend a potential portfolio with similar information to your core. It would be helpful for you to provide the expiration dates, the square footage, the current rental rates, the type of space, and any lease background on your current occupancy. With this information, we'd be ready to get started. Our process for awarding portfolios of work under GLS Plus includes vetting, competing, awarding, and executing these large groups of projects. We recognize that every project may not result in a lease, but it is our intent to provide those that we think will result in a value-added lease solution. Once your leasing specialist confirms the projects you want in your portfolio, the regional program manager will review the projects to make sure GLS Plus is the best tool to get the results you want. The vetting continues as this group of projects comes to me or Rebecca for a final look. Once approved, your portfolio is provided to the brokers working in your region. Using their expertise in innovative market analysis tools, they compete to meet your requirements in the most efficient way possible. During this competition, they may use criteria that you deem most important, like cost savings, timely completion, or greatest potential for consolidation. The broker who presents the best solution at the best anticipated value for your projects gets the award. This process can take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. As the GSA and broker team develops the strategy, you are brought in to discuss the milestones that require your critical involvement during the key meetings that Rebecca discussed earlier. This upfront effort pays for itself in reduced stress and project success. Once your portfolio is awarded to a broker and your project team begins to execute, we'll evaluate the broker at all levels throughout the project. There are a variety of evaluations within the GLS Plus evaluations framework. Cores complete task level evaluations for individual projects that they oversee. This gives us a first look at the broker performance as projects reach certain significant milestones. RPMs and their GCO counterparts collaboratively review and document their program level performance observations and report their findings to the national program officials. The national program officials review the regional input for each zone and then assign their own national level ratings. Once per year, the national program officials will input performance information for each contractor into the CPAR system. Throughout this process, we are frequently providing feedback to the broker on their performance. We don't wait until the end of the year, but we make sure that they have the information they need in order to improve or stay on course for consistent success. Portfolios of work encourage a more diverse project portfolio. They also only require the issuance of one task order. In order to implement these under GLS Plus, regions will work with you to carefully vet projects, and brokers will compete on the portfolio strategy for the entire project grouping. Once awarded, the key meetings that Rebecca discussed will help establish the tone and facilitate communication. And finally, in addition to the minimum performance standards outlined in the contract, we'll be comparing portfolios against our performance metrics and key performance indicators to ensure that you're getting the best value for your project. And now we've reached the end of our GLS Plus Masterclass. We've covered private sector experience, We gave you the history of the brokerage program through the development of GLS Plus, and we explained how the program is administered. We also highlighted public sector value and explained how we're funded. We described enhanced services, the Market Survey 360, and portfolios of work. I think we've reached the end of our exciting and invigorating content and would like to again give you the opportunity to ask questions or get clarification on anything we've covered today. If nothing immediately comes to mind, our contact information is displayed and we'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bridget and Rebecca. Unfortunately, we are running a little bit short on time. So any questions that are remaining in the Q&A pod that have not been answered, the answers to those and the other questions asked today will be in a frequently asked questions document for future reference on the Client Enrichment Series website, www.gsa.gov/CES. In terms of closing remarks, first of all, I'd like to thank Bridget and Rebecca for a great and very informative presentation. I'd also like to thank all of you who attended today, our clients who were able to join us. Like I just said, we will post formal written responses to the questions and comments posed in the Q&A pod on our website. And speaking of some of our upcoming Client Enrichment Series events, we are very excited for one we have coming up in October, the ABCs of GSA's Public Building Service. Or if you really want the shorthand with all kinds of letters, the ABCs of GSA's PBS. In terms of the content, are you new to the government, new to your position, or new to working with GSA's Public Building Service? Here's an introductory class that will provide you with a roadmap at a high level on how GSA works with your agency to support your mission needs with real estate solutions. From requirements gathering for your space actions to occupying your space, this is your chance to familiarize yourself with the Public Building Service and meet some of our subject matter experts from several business lines. Our session will cover several key real estate topics, including planning your space, acquiring your space, lease or federal occupancy, building out your space, occupying your space, altering your space, and disposing of your space. And we'll also demonstrate our web-based PBS customer dashboard, which you can use to help track and manage your PBS real estate portfolio and projects. To learn more, please visit our website, www.gsa.gov/PBS forums, and feel free to tell a friend. We would love to have all of you and more attending that session. To learn more about the Client Enrichment Series, again, visit our website at gsa.gov/CES. The goal of the Client Enrichment Series is to engage our audience in workplace topics that contribute to your mission success and to your effective management of your real estate and workplace programs. Thank you again, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.